Hello and welcome back on The Talking Therapist. In the last video, we have busted 3 myths about psychology, about what people believe about therapy and about having mental health conditions. Today, let's move on to the next 3 myths that I'm going to bust. Also, if you or anybody close to you knows some more myths that you want me to bust or the questions that you want me to answer, don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section and I will definitely make an additional video to address those myths and how to kind of demystify them, right? Okay, so let's move on. Myth number 4. Therapy is limited to psychoanalysis. So to answer this myth, let me give you an idea about what psychoanalysis is. Now, psychoanalysis is a treatment method that was founded by one of the most earlier psychologists of the journey of psychology or of therapy, that is Sigmund Freud. And he came up with the method of psychoanalysis where his main treatment modality used to be unearthing the unconscious. So techniques where you say a word and then the therapist says a word and then whatever that comes to mind when that you hear that word is the answer that you give, or sentence completion exercises, dream analysis. All of these techniques were founded in psychoanalysis. And in many of the movies or in many serials, it has been shown that therapy means a therapist sitting in a chair and then there is a couch at the side and the patient is sleeping or lying in the couch and then the patient is talking about. So that is very particularly relevant to the psychoanalytic mode of therapy. But psychoanalysis is not the only mode of therapy that treatment can go in. There are many different types of therapies like cognitive behavioral therapy, rational emotive behavioral therapy, art-based therapy, dialectical behavior therapy. So because of being portrayed that way in the media, most people tend to believe that therapy can mean only psychoanalysis. Therapy is limited to psychoanalysis, which is not the case.
Hi. I think today I would want to discuss a little bit about the anxiety that I've been feeling when I'm meeting new people, when I'm talking to new people for the first time. Yeah. Hey, before we begin today, do I always have to lay down like this? Is it not an option to sit in a chair and talk to you? Also, I was wondering, can we not analyze my dreams today, maybe do something else?
So the therapy that I do, the patient is sitting in the chair in front of me. There is no couch, there is no interpretation of the patient's dreams. It's basically analysis of the patient's thoughts, behaviors and emotions. So yeah, that was myth number 4 that I just busted. Let's move on to myth number 5. Now this is something that I feel extremely passionately angry about. That is a myth that a short diploma course or a short certificate course in therapy makes me eligible to do counseling with patients, makes me eligible to start up my own clinic and start seeing patients.
Basics of clinical psychology. How to build a therapeutic rapport with a patient. How to treat depression. The different types of anxiety disorders and how a therapist can deal with them.
Bring on the patients. Unfortunately, right now we see many such centers thriving. People who don't really have the necessary education in the field of psychology or in the field of therapy are seen to practice therapy on a basis of a short 3-day course or a 6-month course or any kind of equivalent short-term course that there are outside. Now the problem with such courses is that ideally the people who are conducting them should make it clear to the participants that this course does not make you eligible to start up your own private practice. It definitely adds on to your skill if you already have a bachelor's or a master's degree in clinical or counseling psychology, but it does not make you eligible to start up your own center. What happens because of this is that the patients who do end up going to such therapists get a very very negative and an inaccurate idea of what therapy is going to be like. And then this is how notions of therapy se kuch nahi hota hai, therapy is just a big hokum, and it's all, you just go and you talk, and therapy is just about the therapist giving you advice. This is why all of these thoughts or all of these myths have then started coming in, because people have went to therapists who are not therapists, who don't have the necessary qualification to do therapy. So think about this, whenever you are doing therapy, you are dealing with a live person, you are dealing with a person's behaviors, thoughts, emotions, and whatever that the person is going through. So this is like saying that if I have done a short course in heart surgery, I am now eligible in going to the hospital and performing surgery. Would any of us would be okay with a doctor like this? Would we be ready to put our lives in the hands of a person who does not have the necessary qualifications? So if we won't do that on a physical level, how do we do that so easily on a mental one? So as practitioners, if you are watching this video and you are a psychology student or you are a practicing therapist, please be aware of these things, that a small course doesn't make you eligible to do therapy. And if you are watching this as a layperson, as a viewer, then just keep in mind that if at all you ever end up going to therapy, please make sure about the credentials of the person that you are going to. Please verify the educational qualifications before starting therapy. Moving on to the last myth of this video, myth number 6. I can self-diagnose myself with the help of Google. Now, we all have met people who are self-proclaimed doctors, right? That, oh, I had this symptom, so I googled it and could be that I have this. Or every medicine that if I ever go to the doctor and the doctor prescribes some medicines to me, I'll come home, I'll Google those medicines, then I'll figure out what the side effects are, and then I'll start deriving my own conclusions about those medicines that have been prescribed. Now this unfortunately is also seen in mental health disorders.
My head is paining so much. It has been paining for so many days. Maybe I should go to a doctor. Let it be. Why bother? Let me just Google it and see what Google says. Okay. Causes for headaches. Brain tumor. Brain tumor.
So patients who miscorrectly or incorrectly misdiagnose themselves of having a particular disorder based on a cursory reading on the symptoms on Google. Now what is the danger in this? Well, many of the psychological disorders in a way overlap. So you can have schizophrenia, of which a key symptom is hallucinations and auditory or visual delusions and hallucinations. Alright? But you can also have intense depression that can then lead to depressive psychosis. Now this, I know this because I have been trained in the field. But if I were not, and if I were to just read on Google, and I might incorrectly come to the conclusion that, oh my god, I or somebody close to me has this disorder, has that disorder. And then what this does is, when you do go to a mental health professional, you start second guessing everything that person is saying. Because your mind goes back to, but I had read this in that article, I had read so and so in this XYZ article that I read. So this somewhere hampers the treatment process. Secondly, and more importantly, any kind of diagnosis is finally made after rigorous clinical interview and psychological testing. Without any kind of test, how will you even say conclusively if something is there or not? So it's like me looking at my blood and saying that, oh, I have A positive blood. How do I know? I have not run any tests on that blood that would indicate that way, isn't it? So in the same way, if let's say that I do have features or symptoms, some symptoms of depression, how am I taking that information and jumping to the conclusion that I have major depressive disorder? Why? Because so and so article on Google says so. So we follow intense personality and psychopathology questionnaires and tests in the hospital, after which we get an idea of what the disorder can be. Only after the professional has assessed the patient, has conducted something that we call mental status examination or MSE, and then the aligning tests, only then can we say with 95% of surety that okay, this person has this disorder. So be very, very cautious about this. I'm not saying that it's wrong to get information. It's all right if you want to gather more information about mental health and about the conditions in mental health, but don't let yourself believe that you can then diagnose yourself or somebody else. So it's similar to if I have read a lot, again the example that I gave earlier, that if I have read a lot about heart disease, would anybody permit me to go and sit in the chair of a doctor giving advice about heart disorder? They won't, right? So follow this same rule in the mental health field as well. So that's it. These were the 3 myths that I wanted to burst in today's video. And if you found this video relatable, and if you found yourself thinking that this person has said something of this sort to me before, don't forget to share this video with them. It's not a problem if you hold these myths. It's alright if they are there. The more important part is doing something about it, right? So I really hope that this video does help you to burst some of the myths that there are about counseling and about psychology, about mental health in general. And keep watching The Talking Therapist for more content. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.